What's up, everybody? I'm King.
And I'm Angela.
And we're here to give you a life update. How we're doing, how we've been, what we've been up to.
Okay, so we just got married a week ago.
Yeah.
Surprise. So how do you think we're doing right now?
Trick question. I think we're doing great. I always think we're doing great. Honestly, after conversations, I realized that we're not doing great. We're doing good, on the way to great. But it's better than being horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're progressing.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is one thing that you've learned in our communication style to help us get back into a good place?
I think is certainly being patient with you. Is coming from a place of intent. What's the intent behind what it is that I'm saying, that I'm doing, and what is the intent behind what you're doing? I think being able to come from that place has been able to help me to be in a more loving place. What do you feel like you've learned in this process of us getting to know each other better that you've come to value and learn yourself?
One thing is, it's important for me not to take ownership of his negative feelings at times. So if he's irritated or disappointed or frustrated, that's okay. People are allowed to have the reactions, but I also need to protect my space and not always take ownership of that. Then that's better for both of us.
I do agree with that. Here's how I am. If an issue arises and I don't want that issue to surface again, then I'm going to talk about it. Talking about it is healthy, and I believe in having those conversations. Because I don't want to have it again, and I don't want to have it to repeat itself, and I don't want to, we need to talk about this Friday. No, we're going to talk about it right now, and we're going to be done.
So I think one of the core foundational beliefs in me and in King that are different is I believe that there is an element of respect and wisdom in holding your tongue. So before I let something come out of my mouth, I know I'll never be able to retract it. So I will hold it inside and I'll think about it and I'll evaluate myself, like, hold on, what's another perspective? Is this right? And I may even think about it for more than a day before I may say something. And I may decide to give it a pass, or I may decide to say something. And I believe that that is a respectful form of communication. King believes that in an open and transparent relationship, you should be able to say whatever you want at whatever time that you feel that. So if
tactfully.
Right. If you feel frustrated or if you feel agitated or if you don't like something, like his belief that honest and open communication is that you just tell that person right then and there. And so that over time, again and again, comes out to be like something that I think you've had to come my way.
Yeah.
In like just holding your tongue for a minute and like maybe thinking through or weighing if it's worth saying something or not.
And I think one of the things that works for me is that understanding that it doesn't always have to be my way. And another thing, just evaluating, like I said before, what's the intent? What is the purpose behind what it is that I'm saying? Just because I think something doesn't mean that I have to say it, but that doesn't mean that I'm a pushover just because I'm quiet. I've come to realize that confronting challenges has served me well. And one thing that she's pointed out to me is, you're right, it serves you well, but it doesn't serve our relationship well. So do that everywhere else. But within the confinements of this relationship, we need to take a different approach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, And it's getting there. It's working, you know, so kudos.
How to Train a Dragon. So about a month ago, you started doing something. I don't know, you did something in your head. I don't know what it was, but you made some sort of switch after we had a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
What do you call difficult? What do you call them?
High level discussion.
A high level discussion, excuse me.
This woman, listen. I think you can have a conversation with a little bit of disagreement and it doesn't have to be a falling out. I feel that she is so peace oriented that the slightest conversation of friction on a consistent basis, like if it happens 2-3 times, then
In a day.
in a day, that sends her into shutdown mode. And she does
That's
this thing where she says, I'm in a place where I'm trying to preserve our relationship.
Right.
And I will be quiet for the sake of the health and preservation of our relationship. And I've had to come to a place of acceptance and understanding of that. But you asked the question about a month ago.
Oh, yeah. So what was the switch you made? We had a high-level discussion about a month ago, and like you made some sort of switch in how you thought because it showed up, you showed up differently after that.
I live in this place where I adopt a strategy called extreme ownership. I look at every possible scenario, and I've done this in other areas, but it showed up a little late in my relationship. I look at every possible scenario and be like, how did I affect this? And what can I do better? And how much of this can I own? So one was extreme ownership, looking at this and say, like, I played a part in it. Number two, I die daily to what I want and, supersede what is best for the relationship. The third and most important thing was gratitude. Knowing who this woman is to me and what she does for me, being able to approach her, regardless of like the shortcomings or how I feel about something in the moment, what is her intent, how pure is her heart, and how I really know her and how she shows up. I began to approach life and scenarios with gratitude. How grateful I am that I found you, how minor this little thing is for like 10 or 15 seconds because you annoyed me and it won't even matter tomorrow.
Right. Okay.
So
here we're going to tell a truthful story. Wait, the sink story.
Yeah, the sink story.
So here's an example. When I first moved down here with King, and he has this issue with water going outside of the sink area.
Everything has its place and every place has its thing.
Okay. I remember asking him hypothetically, so if you came home from work and there was this, you opened the kitchen door and you smelled this delicious dinner and it was hot on a plate waiting for you, and as you walked in the kitchen, you noticed that water was splashed outside of the sink on the countertop, what would your first reaction be? And at that point in his life, he would have been like, he admitted, he would have been like, why is there water out on the countertop? Instead of the gratitude of like, wow, like I get to come home to a meal. And I think that probably would have shifted now, like because you have been intentional about
it. Has shifted
not
now.
Focusing on little things that don't matter. Like that would have crushed my spirit if I had worked for an hour to make a delicious meal and the only thing you said was there's water outside of the sink, but so that for that one little issue to cost me like a week of healing from my sadness, it's not worth it to say something about that.
And that is where,
and the gratitude, however, like would feed my heart and make me want to do more of that. So like that's an example of like how that applies specifically to a situation.
And to be honest with you all, that is where I never tried to be my dad, right? We just pick up things from parents, from children, from our parents. And I know that there are some things that my dad did that I don't want and never wanted in my relationship, right? So till this day, my mom will make my dad a big, delicious plate. And he will find something to say about that food. It's too salty. It's too many starches. It's too much food. Who you think you're feeding, a battalion? Like it's something. So personally, I've had to exercise gratitude. I've had to exercise intent, and you brought it to me. And I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your appreciation.
And I want to challenge the men, if this is an issue for you, because we all have our issues, but nothing is better than for a man to stand up, because we're leading this. For a man to stand up and to take ownership of his flaws and lead that relationship as best as he can.
Mm-hmm. Speak to the I die daily that you said. Say more about that, because that would sound like, if I was a man hearing that, that would not sound fun.
It's not fun. I've adopted this concept and I call it I die daily. It's kind of biblical, right? That I die daily to the needs of this woman And it doesn't mean that I'm dying daily to every single thing that she wants, but I'm dying daily to my own selfish intents, because I can be a little selfish SOB sometimes, right? I want what I want, when I want it, how I want it, and it better show up very nice and strong, right? But that's not fair, is it? It's not.
What would you say when you practice the I die daily mantra in your life? What would you say the effect is on me and our relationship?
That is a great question. When I practice the I die daily practice in my life, how it shows up, how she shows up in my life is warm, caring. Her gratitude is always present, but it's got exponents on it. She's gratitude to the 10th power.
I touch your butt more.
Yeah, and touching and when you start touching and doing all of that, it emphasizes and highlights and more. It creates one of the warmest, most loving atmospheres that a person could want.
So those are some takeaways of what we've learned
Yeah.
in the last year with communication, with our relationship, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. What are some things that you are working through?
So drop us a comment. Let us know what you're working through, any issues you're having in your relationship, and if we can shed some love, hope, inspiration, and wisdom on that, we will.
Yeah, and also if you have something that you'd like for us to cover and talk about, let us know. We'd love to talk about something that truly, truly serves you. All right. So until then, keep healing.
Keep loving.
And hold hope. Don't want to get us transparent to say even more sex? Like it's more sex than a man could even...
Easy boy. Acceptable. Acceptable amount of sex.
Yep, acceptable. They're going to find other leaders or other vices.
Nicer leaders.
You no longer have a feminine, and then you no longer have a feminine woman. For